Bernie Sanders' campaign is still chugging on, is still challenging the huge corporations, the ultra-rich, and the rest of the political establishment. And he is giving them nightmares about an America in which a man of the people is our leader. So I just wanted to give an update on his campaign with recent poll numbers nationally and in Iowa and New Hampshire, and then I'll give my opinion on where I think his campaign is going. So let's get into it. So nationally right now, the Real Clear Politics polling average for this Democratic primary shows Hillary Clinton at about 55% support and Bernie Sanders at 30% support. Now that's quite a commanding lead for Hillary Clinton. That's a 25-point gap between the two. But nationally, there are two things, well, actually three things we should be very optimistic about. Number one, nationally right now, Bernie is polling 5.6 points better than Barack Obama was at this point in the race back in 2008. And he was, of course, going up against Hillary Clinton, and he went on to defeat her in that nomination and get the presidency. And he was polling at a good chunk worse than Bernie was at this point. But number two, Bernie was not knocked down by that whole fake scandal with the DNC data breach. He wasn't affected by Joe Biden leaving the race. And after the third debate, which was held on a Saturday before Christmas, the gap between Bernie and Hillary significantly closed according to some polls. So nationally, there's definitely some hope, especially when we get to the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary. So first, New Hampshire. So in a CBS/YouGov poll from December 13th to December 17th of 459 likely voters, 56% of those polled support my boy Bernie Sanders, and 42% of those polled support Hillary Clinton. That's a 14-point lead for Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire. And if he can simply sustain that lead over these next several weeks, he has one of these two extremely important stakes locked down. But it is entirely feasible that he can lock down Iowa as well, because he is rapidly gaining ground in that state. So in that same CBS YouGov poll, but this one obviously in Iowa, it was of 602 likely voters. 50% of those polled support Hillary Clinton, but 45% of those polled support Bernie Sanders. It's only a 5-point gap for Bernie Sanders. And I'm telling you, man, if he just hits Iowa like a young and fresh Mike Tyson these next few weeks, where he's holding rallies and town halls, if he just keeps spreading his message across that state, he can take the lead in Iowa. He's already gaining ground there, and he has New Hampshire locked down. And as all of you know, if Bernie Sanders wins Iowa and New Hampshire, all hell breaks loose. Everybody in the establishment pees their pants out of fear because the mainstream media has to report it. They have to tell the world about Bernie Sanders. They have to tell the world that their candidate, Hillary Clinton, lost both Iowa and New Hampshire, and the inevitable coronation might be called off. The momentum he'll get from those victories can close the gap nationally, where he's already chipping away. He has to win one of those two states to stay competitive, yes. But he already has a great chance of doing that. But if he wins both, and it looks like he just might, that can propel him towards the nomination. Because again, once he wins those first two states, he has to be taken seriously. He becomes relevant. There's no way they can ignore him after he wins two states that important. I don't care how pro-Clinton the network might be. MSNBC, CNN, NBC, CBS, all these mainstream networks, they have to cover him from that point on, and they have to take him seriously. And it goes without saying, the more attention he gets, the more spotlight and coverage he gets, the more supporters he gets, because people love real progressive policy and a real progressive message. They just need the opportunity to hear it. And if he wins Iowa and New Hampshire, people will finally get the opportunity to hear Bernie Sanders' message, because from that point on, he has to be taken seriously by the media. So yeah, man, Bernie's doing all right. He still has a great shot at this nomination. He just has to do most of the right things, hitting the most important states and hitting them hard, where he's holding rallies and town halls. And of course, he always has to stay consistent to his message. It's a great message, and it will work for the American people. But he needs to stay consistent to that message, but especially during huge opportunities like debates. And of course, continuing to run a clean and efficient grassroots campaign. Don't even put yourself in the position for a fake scandal. If he does those few things, he's got this nomination locked down.